Okay, good.
Sounds good. Okay, here we go on my end. What up, nerds, and welcome to another protein-packed episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name is Bob. I'll be your host for this evening. This is episode number 350, recorded on Sunday, December 19th, 2021. Tonight, we're talking about the latest from Guillermo del Toro, which is Nightmare Alley. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First and last up tonight, we got my boy Soju.
What up, it's your boy Geek Stains.
That's a terrible stain. Chicken blood.
I'll do what you need, Bob. I think I'm perfect for the job.
You were born for it.
I was born
Some
for
would
it.
say.
Yeah.
For biting the heads off of chickens.
I can do it.
What a geek.
Actually, I could not do that.
No, of course. Like, it would take a special person to do that. I cannot believe that was a real thing.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. We'll get into it.
Yeah, it's dark. It's dark.
Yeah.
Man, episode 350. We've been doing this for a long time.
Randy missed a huge milestone.
He did.
I'm also going to be pounding cookies all episode, so get used to it.
They're delicious cookies. Pouring out for Randu. Yeah, he couldn't make it this episode because life is crazy. But he missed a good one. But we'll save it for the review.
Yeah, I'm gonna start taking applications. Randy, he's on thin ice.
Real thin.
The thinnest.
We need a Randy Deuce.
Randy Deuce. Randu Deuce.
Randeuce. Randeuce. Yeah,
Yes.
send your applications over to the straightchillingpodcast@gmail.com. We'll be taking a look at those in the near future. Before we get into the review tonight, let's hit up some housekeeping. Here's another reminder. We got our January poll pick currently posted on our Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this January. The theme for January is redemption, in which we chose 3 movies that we reviewed in the past, but feel like we could probably do a better job now. Those movies are The Thing, Scanners, and Reanimator.
Hey, Bob.
Yo.
How are those numbers looking? Thing still on top?
The Thing is still number 1. Reanimator's coming up, though, man. Like,
is it? Okay.
Yeah. Scanners, really, there's no way Scanners could come back and win. I think there's still enough people left to vote that if they all voted Reanimator could win.
Yeah, we got about a week and a half to go.
Yeah, there's definitely time left. Make sure you get all your votes in before the end of December. We'll see what we're talking about this January. In other Patreon news, we're going to have a brand new mini cast dropping this Friday. If you support us at the $10 level or above, you get access to our whole back catalog of mini casts. These are podcast episodes that you can only get on Patreon. And one thing cool that Patreon does is if you sign up at the $10 level, you get an RSS feed sent to your email, and you can copy paste that into your podcatcher of choice and listen to all of our bonus episodes just the same way you listen to our regular show.
Yeah.
But Juice, you recorded this. You were talking about The Night House.
Talking about The Night House, it's another new one from this year. So we have limited picks of how many new movies we can cover between, our poll picks and our Patreon picks and stuff like that. So this is one we could not get to. It's a solid one for the year, though. Might be popping up on some lists next week of top 10. And so I did cover that in the mini cast that came out around summer time. So it's been out around 6 months. You should be able to find it by now on some streaming platform, I would assume. Maybe, I don't know. You know me.
I'm pretty sure
Black
you can
market stains over.
I'm pretty sure you can rent it on VOD. It's also on Blu-ray, so it's
okay, it's already out. Okay.
Pretty easy to find.
Okay, yeah. I remember I went to go see Don't Breed Deuce, and I remember seeing the poster at the time.
Don't Breed Deuce.
And I chose Don't Breed Deuce, which I also did a mini cast on. And fun fact, like we are coming up on like 2 years close to mini cast. I think we first started it the beginning of 2020, and so we have almost 2 years of back catalog of mini cast. Mini cast. This is episode 350, our main cast. 50 of our mini, or like 55 or something.
55, 56. I think this is going to be 56 dropping.
We try to release around 2 a month, and then October you get the special deal of like one every week. So whoa, man.
Yeah, there's a lot to slam into your ear holes. Yeah, for sure. Check out Justin's thoughts on the old Night House, dropping on Friday. In other Patreon news, we did reopen the You Pick the Flick tier today, and per usual, they all sold out within 5 minutes of opening the tier. So congratulations to everybody that managed to grab a You Pick. We like we said last episode, we're adding a lot of stuff to the You Pick this year. Obviously, you get to pick a movie for us to review, just the way you always did. You get a custom VHS sticker mailed to you with the title of the film you chose and our rating on it. You get a straight chilling sticker, you get a shout out on the show, and we're also designing a brand new enamel pin. Andy made a really dope design. We're sending that out to everybody that picks a movie for us to review in the year of 2022. We don't have them yet, but we got confirmation that they ship today. So we'll be getting them in the mail hopefully in the next week or so we can post a picture of them and share the new design with you guys. It looks dope. Randy kills all of our designs. He does a great job.
Thank God for Randy. We'll keep him around.
Yeah, just for the design. And also, we are going to start including your thoughts in the body of the review, much the same way we kind of close out our shows with our final thoughts and our ratings out of 5. We kind of want you guys to provide that as well. If you so choose, you don't have to. You can call in and leave us a voicemail telling us, your thoughts about the movie and your own personal rating, or you can send us an email and we can just read that on the show. If you don't want to record your voice, that's also fine. So we're adding a lot of stuff to the You Pick the Flick tier this year. And again, congratulations and thank you to everybody that signed up for that and showed us some love on Patreon. It does mean a lot to us. It helps us keep the show going for real.
Yeah, y'all are the first ones with the new swag.
Yeah, brand new swag.
You got to show that stuff off on the Slack, make everybody else jealous.
Super.
So the next time they sell out in 3 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Instead of 6.
What else? Also, big thanks to everybody that hung out on Friday for the Joe Bob watch party. Joe Bob Ruins Christmas. He did another Christmas double feature in which neither movies had anything to do with Christmas again.
Yeah.
He showed the Ice Cream Mang, which is a 90s baller, like made for TV movie. I think it was made for TV. It might have been like straight to video or something like that. Clint Howard chopping up kids and serving them in ice cream cones. It's a lot of fun. And then he showed some other movie I'd never heard of before called Gator Bait, which was like pretty unwatchable.
Was that her gift to Joe Bob?
Yeah, because apparently Joe Bob is a fan of it and he's never been able to like host it before.
Okay.
Probably because it's unwatchable.
Gotcha.
I
see.
But thanks to everybody that hung out for that. Our Joe Bob watch parties are always a lot of fun.
Yeah, you've been talking about actually Ice Cream Mang for a while because of, Screaming and Creaming and stuff like that. And so I actually slept through the first part of it. Normally people fall asleep in the back half.
Yeah.
But I caught a good bit of it. I think it would be a fun cast. It was like better than I was expecting, I guess. Or yeah, I don't know. It was more watchable than I was expecting. I don't know if better is the right choice, but it was more watchable.
It's amazing.
Well, I don't. It's not amazing.
It's worth watching.
It would be fun to cover.
It would be, yeah. That's all we got for Patreon. Last but not least, we got a brand new episode of Let's Get Physical Media dropping this Tuesday. It's our episode number 28. We're talking about our November pickups. So if you have any interest in collecting Blu-rays, 4Ks, DVDs, my buddy Mikey and I talk about all that stuff over on Let's Get Physical Media. And a lot of times it's pretty horror heavy. This episode, actually, we get really deep into Criterion. Mikey had some really choice picks, stuff that I'd never seen before. So definitely check that out if you're interested in collecting physical media.
And Let's Get Physical Media is kind of coming up on an anniversary as well.
Yeah, we're closing out our second year.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, two years deep, man.
What a great empire we've built.
We put out a lot of shit.
Yeah, we need to start having like little subsidiary, like more that just, I don't know, just give us more power and reach and influence over the horror community.
I mean, you joke, but we've discussed creating a sort of like podcast collective in the past. And
if you think you're good enough to be part of the Straight Chilling Collective,
send your resume over to straightchillingpodcast@gmail.com.
If you want to give us full creative control over your projects and take all of the credit, then send your resume over.
Do more and make it better, idiot.
And put my name on it.
Yeah.
Produced by Soju.
Soju did nothing but chug soju during the production of this podcast. I think our house is clean. You got anything else you want to add, man?
I don't think so.
All right, our houses are clean. All right, we're getting into the main event. We're talking about Nightmare Alley, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box. All righty then.
Nice and clean.
Nice and clean.
You know what? When Randy's not here, you just edit it however you want, though, Bob. You know, it is nice and clean.
I mean, yeah,
it will be nice.
I edit it regardless.
Well, that's true.
I edit it every single week.
I don't know. So far, I feel like this episode's a lot cleaner without Randy.
I know, we're just killing
steamroll.
Nobody needs old steamroll Randy. What we need is Randoose.
Only for his art, though.
We heavily rely on Randy's talents.
That's true.
As a graphic designer.
That's true.
We're talking about the latest and greatest from Guillermo del Toro, Nightmare Alley. This just dropped on Friday. This is a brand new movie. It's a runtime of 2 hours and 30 minutes. This was written by Del Toro as well as Kim Morgan, William Lindsay Gresham. Was based on a novel by William Lindsay Gresham. Stars Bradley Cooper, Kate Blanchett, Toni Collette, Willem Dafoe, like just a murderer's row of incredible actors. Rooney Mara, Richard Jenkins, Ron Perlman. I mean, the list goes on. It is insane. But I mean, if you reach like the heights that Del Toro has, all you got to do is like, I assume, ask somebody to be in a movie, and the answer is yes. You know, like if you're an actor, I just feel like you would love the opportunity to work with this man. But the plot synopsis, as brought to you by IMDb, is as follows. An ambitious carny with a talent for manipulating people with a few well-chosen words hooks up with a female psychiatrist who is even more dangerous than he is. Like I mentioned, this is based on a book that came out in the 30s, I believe. And then there was a movie that came out in like 1946, I want to say, based on the book. And then we got this obviously much more modern version of that story. Del Toro goes on to say that he definitely based it off of the book. He wasn't trying to remake the movie, but the story for both movies is very, very similar. I mean, it's basically the exact same story here. Juice obviously is a brand new movie. You haven't seen it before, but would you recommend people check it out?
Yeah, I've never seen the original either. Never read the book. I'm not too familiar with this. It's kind of funny too, because I feel like throughout the years, especially when we were doing horror news, Del Toro's name is always popping up around projects.
Yeah.
And even, you know, he did a produced, I think, for Antlers this year and stuff like that. And somehow, yeah, I was completely unaware that this was coming out this year and that like Del Toro was doing it. So it was kind of a surprise for me, a pleasant surprise. I would recommend people check it out. It's long and it's kind of a bummer, not to spoil anything, but just the general vibe of the whole 2.5 hours is generally kind of negative. And so that can be tough. But Del Toro, this movie is like an old school film making kind of film.
It's got a noir vibe.
Yeah, I mean, it really just feels like old school filmmaking. The set designs and stuff like that. And so it's not this huge Marvel spectacle or anything like that, but it is like a fucking good film. And so I am always going to support, you know, seeing that. The whole movie theater thing is in a weird place right now. Like, I don't know, like, is it going to survive? What is it going to look like or whatever? But yeah, you should check this out. If you like Del Toro, you're probably going to check it out anyways. If you love just film, I don't think you really even have to risk anything, because even on a Saturday, I mean, Spider-Man is out right now.
Yeah.
Matrix is coming out right now.
Yeah.
So you most likely will be in a empty to sparse theater, which is unfortunate. But I mean, the industry is what it is right now. But yeah, this movie is definitely worth checking out. Bob, how about you? What do you think about old Nightmare Alley 2021?
This is a hard recommend for me. I think you should definitely treat yourself and go to the movie theater and watch this. So, I mean, this is not streaming anywhere. So if you do plan to watch it, you have to go to the theater. And honestly, that's the way to watch this movie, in my opinion. It is like so visually stunning that, like, to watch it on a smaller screen, I just think you would lose some of that impact. It's like such a joy to watch Del Toro's films in a movie theater, because it's like he's a master of his craft, and he crafts these movies to be seen on a big screen. And when you have the ability to do that, it hits in a way that most other movies don't. It's like it truly is like a work of art. And also, like, the way that he directs these actors and the performances they turn in, they're just like, they hit you in the gut in a way that really, just like the average movie, pales in comparison to. It's a bummer. It's definitely a downer of a movie, but I heavily recommend this. I think you should treat yourself to it if you have the ability to do so. It's definitely one of the better movies I've seen this year. So yeah, we're going to spoil the shit out of this. So if you do want to watch it, you are being warned right now. Yeah, like you mentioned, man, this movie came out on the same day as SpiderMan No Way Home, which is like, that's a tough sell.
Yeah, and like right before Christmas, there's always some kind of big Christmas movie that comes out. Matrix is dropping this Wednesday, which is another big spectacle movie, but that's going to be on HBO Max as well. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, it's difficult because I agree. This, like you said, this is more of like a work of art. This is not as much of like entertainment. This is an artful piece.
Yeah.
But anyways, you got that plot synopsis? We'll get into our thoughts soon.
Yeah, I got the synopsis typed up.
Is it going to be 2.5 hours?
I tried so hard to make it short.
There's a lot.
I know. Yeah, I tried to be as brief as I could, but it's not super long. Here we go.
I'll just enjoy my cookies over here while you read away.
Please do. All right, our main character, Stanton Carlisle. He burns down his Midwestern home and joins a traveling carnival. He witnesses the Geek Act and is horrified by it. Clem, who's the carnival barker, explains he seeks out alcoholics and drug addicts to be his geek. He promises the position is only temporary. He then gets them addicted to opium-laced alcohol. And Clem goes on to show where he keeps his alcohol, which is unfortunately located right next to a crate of wood alcohol that he uses to preserve various oddities in jars that if you should consume it, it would be poisonous to you. Stan then begins working with one of the acts at the carnival that's run by Madame Xena and her alcoholic husband, Pete. Xena and Pete create this language system that makes it seem like Xena has extraordinary mental powers while she's on stage. Stan begins to learn this trick and is warned by Pete never to take it too far and lead patrons on regarding the dead. One night, Stan accidentally gives Pete the wrong type of alcohol. He drinks it and dies. Stan tells fellow carny Molly that he is in love with her, and they end up leaving the carnival together. 2 years later, we see Stan has created a very successful show based off of Pete and Xena's language system, and he's performing for the Chicago's elite with Molly. During one of their acts, a psychologist by the name of Lilith Ritter interrupts, and she tries to expose the act as a trick. Stan is able to cold read Lilith and keeps the act safe. Stan is then approached by Judge Harrington, who did hire Lilith to test him, but the judge is now convinced their act is real, and he offers to pay Stan handsomely if he helps the judge and his wife communicate with their dead son. Molly disapproves of this so-called spook show, but Stan agrees to help. Ritter then invites Stan to her office, and Stan reveals how he does the show. Ritter shows Stan the recorded sessions she has with her clients and shares intimate details of the judge's life with him to help fuel his charade. Ritter and Stan begin having an affair, and Ritter also has therapy sessions with Stan in which we find out he killed his alcoholic father before joining the carnival. The judge introduces Stan to the wealthy Ezra Grindle, whose long-lost lover Dory died during a forced miscarriage. Stan begins scamming Grindle and drinking heavily as well. Molly's extremely uncomfortable with this scam and finds out that Stan is having an affair. She tries to leave him, but he talks her into coming back and posing as Dory's ghost in one final hurrah to get all of the judge's cash. During the final scam, Grindle reveals himself to be a frequent abuser of women and hits Molly when he realizes that he is being scammed. Stan ends up killing Grindle, and Molly leaves for good. Stan goes to Ritter for help, and she reveals that she's stolen the money he's hustled. Stan attacks her, and she shoots his ear off. Ritter also threatens to use her recorded sessions as proof of Stan's mental instability should he go to the authorities. Stan wanders around for years as an alcoholic hobo and tries to get a job at another carnival. The owner turns him away and then says, he might have the perfect job for him, and it's only temporary. He pours Stan several drinks and asks him if he knows what a geek is. Stan laughs, says he does, and says he was born for the job. Roll credits.
Yeah, woo, heavy. Yeah, I was even, as you were describing, I was kind of reliving the scenes in my mind. And, oh man, that ending, my Lord. Yeah. But not just the ending, it's set, it's a period piece, and it's set against a backdrop of the beginning of World War II. Things are going off they talk about, that chap who looks like Chaplin, he's invaded Poland or whatever. And it just like throughout them, even though it goes across several years, it pretty much is taking place as World War II is taking place, which is interesting. I kind of want to talk about that a little bit more. But even though like the tone of everyone is not necessarily a bummer throughout, the setting is often gray or like, I don't know, in some sort of kind of like lower class poverty almost, this traveling circus. And then once they kind of work their way up, then they're kind of scamming people. So it's got this, and then their relationship kind of starts to fall apart, and then you get into like a dangerous zone, and then the dude, you know, becomes addicted to alcohol and just completely loses way until he's just in complete shambles. So even though, you know, the whole thing isn't all about negative things, I guess, or show it like, because he is on the rise in the beginning, but it's still got this like dreary kind of feel to it throughout.
It does. And like our main character, played by Bradley Cooper, like the movie starts off in a way that you don't know what he's done, but you see him burn a house down at the very beginning of the movie. You see him like drag a body into the floorboards, and he lights it on fire and the house burns down. So you know that he might have killed somebody, but he's definitely at least covering up a murder, most likely. And he's like drawn to the carnival specifically like by I think it might have been Willem Dafoe's character, who says like, you know, if you're looking for work, here's a place where nobody asks where you came from or what you did. Nobody cares about that. So like he feels like safe, and that he's probably in the company of people similar to him that are running from something or have sort of a checkered past, so to speak.
Yeah.
So like the movie begins in this very sort of like sketchy manner. And even though he like apparently finds love and develops this act and is making money and sort of, you know, rising to the top, so to speak, and entertaining the wealthiest people Chicago has, he's fooling them. He's taking advantage of these people, and you know that he's running from his past as well. So like you're waiting for the other shoe to drop, and eventually it does. Like there's sort of this gray cloud hanging over this character throughout the entire movie, even though he seems to be doing well, at least for the second act of it, you know?
Yeah. That, man, there's a lot of just interest. There's so much to talk about in this. So I keep going through my list of like, okay, what do I want to talk about? Because there's no way we're going to be able to talk about it all. Let's see. The acting and the characters specifically are all so very interesting. And even as the setting transforms, because the settings are very interesting too. And like the time and everything like that. But each character, especially when we're going through the carnival situation, each character there is very interesting because they're all distinct in that they all have their own acts. And you get to kind of live. What the benefit of this movie being so long is you get to live in this circus location for so long. And that's the length didn't really bother me, other than just the general kind of negative vibe throughout the whole thing. But I love the time we got to spend with all of these characters, because as we said before, this cast is stacked. And everyone, there is no one where I would say that is a weak performance.
Yeah.
Everyone kills it to like the nth degree. Like everyone shows up with their A game completely. And the script is written so well. And it's interesting to spend time with each one of these characters. I think Bradley Cooper did an amazing job at this character. One thing I like in the early days is like Willem Dafoe, of course, does amazing. And actually it's almost, it kind of like establishes this kind of carny code. One thing I want to talk about later is almost this separation of class and wealth later too, because the first half is all with these carny people. And for the most part, they have like a generally like good code, but then they're not necessarily good people. They're good to each other. And I think talking about the whole alcohol situation, I want to address that while it's on my mind right now, because we were talking yesterday, like, why would you keep alcohol next to each other? I actually think that was kind of on purpose. And I think it's on the way that Willem Dafoe's character is, this kind of carny code, is almost like the people who are in the carnival know how it works. So if you're going to get from him, you're essentially like part of the group. But if you're going to like steal from him, or you're going to try, because he leaves it out in the open. It's easy to operate this alcohol system he's got. He's always got these side hustles going on, but it's almost this way of like, if someone's going to steal from me or try to cheat me, well, then they're going to pay the ultimate price. And I think that's kind of part of his character. where he's never like really a good person. You're either on his good side or you're on his negative side. And I think that was kind of like just part of who he was, that red box, blue box, this is poison, this is drinkable alcohol.
Yeah, it's almost like a constant reminder that like he has the power, basically. Like if should he choose, he can take you out. Don't fuck him over.
Kind of, yeah.
Which he basically says that to Bradley Cooper, not in those exact words, but he basically does. He's like, do not steal from me. He like tells him flat out.
Yeah.
And Bradley doesn't. There's a certain point where he goes to grab that bottle of alcohol, and he drops money in the box. Like I thought maybe he wouldn't, but he does. Like he abides by the rules. Which, as you learn more about his character later on, like he's not exactly a rule follower, but I guess he respects Willem Dafoe enough in this movie that he follows the rules.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody in this, even as we go into this kind of class separation, has their own rules and their own code. There's not a really good person in this, except for Molly. I think is kind of like the moral center of this, the one character you can kind of root for the most, I think. And that's very interesting. It's interesting to see. One of the things I loved, it was this like psychosis of this movie, everybody trying to like get one over on each other, kind of. And how things flip, because it's so well written and smart. Like this, even Bradley Cooper starting, the kind of seduction methods he has in the beginning, it's nothing crazy, but just, kind of how he gets Molly to kind of fall in love with him. It felt very true, but also you see the holes and the flaws in it, and you're staying from afar. But it's not that far-fetched. But as it develops into this affair that he has with this psychiatrist woman, and then like she screws him over, and you can see like where his downfall was and his arrogance, and but what her initial attraction was to him, but not really. And then like all of these just different mind games was so fascinating to watch, because everyone does such a good job and because it is so well written. Like it's not a Marvel movie where like robots are flying through the sky or whatever, but I was just completely mesmerized by all of these little back and forth, tit for tat, these dialogues going on. It was so fascinating to watch.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of these characters are playing mind games with each other. Like as we get to know Bradley Cooper, he sort of finds this mentalist act that he's very good at. It seems like he takes to it very naturally, and he takes a lot of pride in that. He even says, like, I think I finally found something that I'm good at. He develops it further, and he starts making a lot of money, and it's going well for him. And he develops a bit of a hubris because of it. And then this woman comes along, Dr. Lilith, and sort of challenges him, and he gets it out of it. Like, he bests her in a way that she can't explain. She's like, well, I don't know, maybe he does have a gift, but the hubris that he has makes it to where he's almost too excited to tattle on himself whenever she like invites him over to her office. And you see her like in her face lose respect for him almost. Like there's so much subtlety in these performances. Definitely the majority of this being between Cate Blanchett and Bradley Cooper. I want to give like mad shouts outs to Bradley Cooper in this movie, because when I first heard about the casting of this movie, I was like, you know what, everybody on that list I'm so down for, but I was like, I don't know that Bradley Cooper has it in him. Like I was afraid he was just going to kind of turn in not a bad performance, but like a very like regular performance. Like he's just our straight man, and he's trying to navigate his way through this carnival of like weirdos.
Yeah.
Luckily, that's not what we got. He is super fucked up in this movie, but in a way that like you can read it on his face. Like he doesn't have to say words. He killed it, dude. I've got so much more respect for him now than I did before seeing this movie.
He really did kill it. And there's several scenes between him and this psychiatrist, Ritter, Cate Blanchett or whatever. that those were some of their back and forths were amazing. And I love, like you said, the loss of respect, because it's both this, they both have this just ridiculous hubris. Mm-hmm. And she like cannot fucking stand that she has it over. And in order to get out, she kind of seduces him, but it's also, she just presents herself at a higher level, you know. And the thing about this, the class separation I was talking about before, I think that's what kind of gets Bradley Cooper in. And so he has this arrogance too, but it's also this need to be recognized as an equal. Mm-hmm. So he gets in there and he needs to show off that he got one over on her, but it's not enough just to kind of like go throw it in her face and keep selling the idea. But it's almost to present himself as like, we're both equals, because he says like, we're both running the same scam. Mm-hmm. And he immediately, because of that, because of his need to be almost seen as in that upper echelon, he immediately puts his trust in her to where they're running this grift or whatever, and he gives her all of his money. He does not fucking, and I love it. She tells him, like, you don't fucking know me.
Yeah.
And she says, like, I'm fucking trouble. Why she's almost like, you're fucking stupid, like to his face. And I love, but he is, no matter in these 2 years how he's gotten, we see he's still kind of that poor farm boy, you know, that wants to be seen this way. But as soon as she starts doing her analysis on him, he almost immediately starts falling apart.
Yeah.
You know, her talking about, she easily picks apart the problems with his father, his whole ties to alcohol. And once she gets him in her zone, I love those moments because he does fall apart so fast. And in that, it almost makes him gain even more respect for her. And each time she just gets higher and higher above him.
Yeah.
And I love that. Like to watch that until you get to the end where he gets completely screwed. It's fascinating to watch.
It is. Cate Blanchett does a great job here. And it's interesting to see their different motivations too, because like we really get a sense that Bradley Cooper is in it purely for the money. Like he will do almost anything for the money. It seems like he came from nothing, so like that is very appealing to him. And then like whenever we get to know Cate Blanchett, she's obviously like fairly well off herself. Like just looking at her office, like it's an incredible space. She's a psychiatrist for like the elite in Chicago, so I'm sure they're paying her very well. And at the end of the movie, she steals all of Bradley Cooper's money, but she says that it's not about the money. She doesn't need it. She's already rich. It's about the power for her. She needs to prove to him that she is so much more powerful than he is. And that no matter how confident he is, even though he's been able to scam these people, he is ultimately nothing in comparison to her.
Yeah. And that's another form of hubris, because she almost gets killed herself. Yeah. She could have done the exact same thing. So she gives Bradley Cooper this thing of money, and there's like, I don't know, $100 on top. And then the rest are all filled with singles. So he's got this roll. So, I mean, he's got some money, but certainly not this dude's paying him $10,000 a session. So not the hundreds of thousands of dollars, but she does this thing where she's like, I wanted you to know I actually loved you or whatever. And he's like, oh shit.
Yeah, that's her tell. Like she goes a little too far.
But immediately she's like, oh, did I sell it too hard or whatever? And she wants him to know. Because he took her. It's like this petty revenge thing.
Yeah.
And what I like about that, and also I want to talk about the the kind of guy. What's it? Grizz? He wanted to say
Grindel,
Griswold.
this
Grindel.
super rich dude. Yeah.
Yeah, Grindel. Is this the main kind of fear that comes in here? Is the wealthy, the power that the wealth has. And she is a representation of that, because as we see, she's bored, or it's pure arrogance. It's not money like it is with Bradley Cooper, where he came from nothing and he manipulates people, which he's dangerous within his own self. But once you get into the upper echelons, this Grindel guy, he too says at one point, I have more money than I could ever spend. But he's willing, he's vindictive. It's all about power for him too. And when we get introduced to that guy, that was a fantastic scene, because talking about kind of the horror aspects of this, if there is, any, which I think there are, but
yeah, we can talk about that later too,
is just the overwhelming presence that this guy has in a fearful way. He sets up a meeting. You don't have to go to this meeting. Okay. He sets it up. It's at his building. They pretty much like strip you of everything except your clothes, like take your watch. Like, I'm taking everything. You go in, he goes in this big ass room, and there's this chair, one chair that the guy's sitting in initially. And then they sit Bradley Cooper down there, and they're like, we're hooking you to a polygraph test. And there's like nothing Bradley Cooper can do except con his way out of it again, which he does. But it's just like, that was such a powerful scene for just a regular old white dude in a room, in a pretty much empty room. Just the decor of it, his bodyguard, the single chair, like right in the middle of the room. And then you just feel this complete anxiety or stomach drop when they wheel in the lie detector test or polygraph test or whatever. Because this dude, he's like, don't fuck with me immediately.
It's one of the things that I will sing Del Toro's praises for is set design. His movies are impeccably well designed, and like you were talking about, how it's like a very vacant room with like a chair in the dead center. Essentially, like Bradley Cooper walks into a void that is created by Grindel, and it's like it creates this sense of helplessness. Like, you can cry for help, you can reach out, but there is nobody anywhere around that can help you. Like Grindel owns you now, and you just don't know it. It's a scary feeling. It's so well, like, I don't know, designed, I guess. It just like that feeling comes through, even though like again, there's no like dialogue that says it. Grindel's not like, you're mine, bitch. Like a lesser movie would do that, but they just show you feel it. The feeling comes across.
You do feel it. My stomach dropped. And like it's not imposing in that it's black walls or he's looks dangerous. He's just a dude in a suit, but it's all about this crazy psychological mind games, which is a lot of what this movie is all about anyways. That was just so powerful. But we can jump off of that too, Bob, because another thing we praise the kind of performances and how it's written out. Dude, the set designs are amazing, and not just the set designs, the cinematography is also so fantastic.
It's a beautiful film.
There's like a couple scenes I would like to specifically point out that are just look magnificent. But as far as set designs, when I first noticed it, very early on, when Bradley Cooper first gets a job at the circus kind of permanently, when they set up at this new location, the geek escapes and they have to chase him down, and Bradley Cooper goes into this like hell maze or whatever that they have set up.
It's like a haunted house kind of situation.
And there's like this devil door that opens up and that whole thing. I was like, this is amazing.
It is, yeah.
It's all looks practical, all looks like hand painted. It looks like it's from the fucking 40s. The design is spectacular. But then also when he first goes into that psychiatrist's office, the Art Deco, even they tease it a little bit when they're in their dressing room and he's doing a performance once they've kind of made it a little bit, him and Molly. Their kind of performance hall and dressing room and stuff has this Art Deco kind of look, but then where it really like it looks so beautiful was the psychiatrist's office. It's so elegantly designed, but in a very powerful way. It looks powerful, but also so tasteful. The design is amazing. And then there's a beautiful shot in her office when she's doing a night session with him and it's snowing in the background and it's got this beautiful, I was saying yesterday, like bluish tealish tint to everything, like the highlights. So her face is very pale skin and most of it is kind of like shadowed out, but the snow in the background, it's like through the window, so it's out of focus and it's like piling up on the ledge or whatever, and then her face has got this like little blue tint. It's so beautiful. And the red, this Molly wears this red jacket, it's vibrant red. Oh man, there's just so many beautiful moments in this dark film.
There's a lot of scenes in the beginning where you see sort of like the silhouette almost of the carnival, and you've got like the Ferris wheel like turning, and you see the tents, and like behind that is this like very moody sky with lightning crackling behind it. It is gorgeous to look at. Also, like the way they light these characters, it feels like the time the book was written, like in the 40s. It's got this, like I said, this like neo-noir kind of vibe to it, where like they're the characters are in shadow, but like their eyes will be lit very well. Specifically, every time you see Cate Blanchett on screen, like her eyes, there's always like just a strip of light across her eyes, but the rest of her face is in shadow. There's like such detail to lighting each specific character in a way that nobody takes the time to do that. You know, it's like you could take any still from this movie and frame it and it would be a beautiful photograph. It's like just like kind of reliving these sets, you know, via having this discussion with you. Like I cannot wait to watch this movie again.
Yeah, just to look at it, there was this one scene that almost felt like kind of inconsequential. I mean, it was kind of important to the characters of Molly and what's Brad Stan,
yeah.
But I couldn't help it. I was just grinning like a stupid idiot at myself because I was so impressed by it. It looked amazing. I don't know if you remember the scene where at one point, I think he maybe has already cheated on her or something, but they're in their dressing room and it's kind of a lower shot. I think Molly's sitting at this kind of makeup station or whatever, and there's two mirrors. It's the big circle one right in the middle, and there's this smaller circle one in the bottom left corner, and they're both tilted in different ways, and the angle that the camera is at, it gets kind of two different shots of their faces.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And it's like, it's so amazing. Nice. Because essentially what they're doing, he comes up behind her, he's kind of hugging her, he's kind of actually being sweet to her, which most of the time in the second act or whatever, he's being a complete piece of shit.
Yeah.
But in this, he kind of comes up behind her, he hugs her like around the neck or whatever, and I couldn't help my eyes. This is one benefit of the big screen. Like my eyes were like going back and forth just between these two mirrors because it's two completely different angles of their faces, and they're already doing a great job acting anyways. And just the way that where the camera's placed in that shit is so amazing. I was just like, damn, Del Toro, that's so good. that's why I say it is a fucking filmmaker's film.
Yeah, it's a feast for the eyes.
Yeah, it is.
It's such a joy to experience this movie. And we didn't even talk about that, like the big ending sequence where like
we have
Grindel has this massive garden that he built and dedicated to his long lost lover. And it's like snowing, and Stanton has like convinced Molly to come back and pretend to be his long lost lover, because I guess she does kind of resemble her in these pictures that he finds. And she like is rubbing this red blood all over her hands, and she's wearing this like beautiful gown and walks out into the middle of this huge garden, and the snow's falling and it's at night. It's like so picturesque and beautiful. It reminded me a little bit of Crimson Peak with the snow and the blood and everything.
Like Crimson Peak, yeah.
And then you like get to find out like who Grindel really is in that moment, and it's like such an emotional scene. And like Stanton has like completely manipulated Molly and like broken her down, like driven her as far as he can possibly drive her, and then like just murder happens, like it in a way that you feel it. Like there's not like crazy death sequences in this movie. Like he beats the shit out of Grindel, and some people get shot with a gun, and he runs somebody over. And I think those are like the most violent things that we see. But the way that he films them and like the sound design makes those moments so truly horrific in a way that other movies wouldn't do that.
They have like weight to them too.
They do, yeah.
It's when he punches him in the face, when he just essentially like bashes his face in, it feels real.
It does.
It feels like you're watching someone actually, not some bullshit, like, you know, it feels real.
Yeah.
Each punch has a thing, and it's got specific crunches to it, and especially when his face like caves in, which that shot too, it kind of, you know, he lets you sit with it for a second, which is very Ari Aster. I kind of had that because I was like, that's gruesome. Mm-hmm. It's dark, and he makes you look at it for a second. And but I like that kind of tape, because you do for a second, you're already fearful of Grindel. You already are. Mm-hmm. From the like first moment he comes in, and you see him kind of lose his patience a couple times. But he doesn't get the upper hand, and I kind of like that. I kind of like that he doesn't, because I feel like that's kind of the easy route. I know this is like an established story or whatever, but you find out that he's been murdering women, and he says hurting.
Yeah, potentially murdering. We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. He suffered this loss, but he takes it out on other women. Like the way he copes with it is just to like kind of relive it again and again and again, in a way. But and then he hits that dude with the car, and he makes you kind of look at that too. His mm-hmm. body's all broken and twisted.
He like backs up over him and runs over him again. It's like
you see also another thing at the very beginning. He makes you watch the geek like eat the chicken alive.
Yeah.
He makes you look at that too.
Yeah. God damn.
So there are moments of like, squeamish gore, like pretty intense stuff.
There was a scene with the judge where, like, as far as we're aware, Stanton like did something positive for the judge and his wife. Like he definitely like swindles them into believing that he contacted their dead child. But they have some sort of like solace in that. They have some closure, and you're like, okay, like he swindled them, but like maybe they're better off for it. And he even tries to sell Molly that same business when he's trying to swindle Grindel, the Grindel swindle. And he's like, you know, like we're pulling this con. Is it a bad thing to trick this man? Yes, but he might have some closure and feel better about himself and his life in doing so. And he kind of like uses that to manipulate Molly. That in no way is why he's doing it. He's doing it for the money. But he
for
uses
his
that
own hubris, because he has a couple times where he can back out of this situation where he keeps saying like he's scared of Grendel and I'm in too deep. I recognize that. But even in the garden, Grendel is like, I didn't do what you asked. It's my fault. You don't have to do it. Yeah, I need more time to do it. And he's like, no, let's just do it.
Yeah. But so like he kind of plays the judge and his wife, and we have some sort of closure in that story. But then we like kind of revisit them a little bit later in the movie. And his wife is like, it's just like Stanton said, we're going to be reconnected with our son in the afterlife. And she pulls out a gun and kills her husband and then commits suicide. And when that scene happens, it lands so heavy. Like you feel that scene so hard. Like how many movies do we watch where people get shot by a gun? I mean, almost every movie somebody gets shot.
Or gets punched in the face.
Yeah, and like that, it never like it just washes over you. It doesn't actually mean anything. But in this scene, like two people get shot and like it crushes you. It feels so heavy when that happens.
Yeah, it really does. And that's not even one of the goriest. He doesn't even, show you a big hole in their head or anything, but it has a lot of weight. It's also too, it's just more great filmmaking though, because it's interspliced with the tense moment. There's already tension in the movie.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of scared for Stan, mostly Molly too, because he's roped her into this, and you do fear Grendel, and they're going into the situation, which is fucking dumb. Like it's one thing for him to play mind games and do things that nobody could disprove. Like, okay, I guessed what was in your purse, I guessed your name or whatever, these different things that he has tricks to do. To say you're going to materialize a ghost.
Yeah.
So even when he's explaining this, like, we're going to do it from this far away, you're going to come in, I'm going to make him down. So, like, there's no way that this is going to work.
You're not pulling this one off.
That's a terrible, and that's just part of his decline as he starts drinking, as he gets more arrogant. He feels untouchable, which I like the kind of warning he gives at the beginning where he's like, you actually start to think you have it. Yeah. But I don't think Bradley Cooper ever really does, though, because he always explains how he does it. It's just like, I love the psychosis, because he even tells you too. Everybody kind of tells you in this movie what they're going to do. It's still such a surprise though, because he says, I finally found something I'm good at. And it's almost like he loves telling people why he's so good, because even though he could tell you, you couldn't necessarily reproduce it. You couldn't do it yourself. So he does have a talent, but he would be so much better off to keep it a secret.
Shutting up.
It's like a magician who does this amazing trick. It's like if the magician was also the guy who did the TV show who told you how it's done, but did it on stage. So it'd be like if a magician did the trick and everybody's blown away, and then 2 minutes later does a tutorial on how to do the trick. It's like, that's not a great show.
I don't think so. Like the warning that Pete gives, I think does still apply in the end. Like in no way does Stanton think that he has legitimate powers. He's not that fully, but he does think that he can fool anybody. In that way, he does kind of think he has a power. So like he's able to fool himself into believing that like faking like a ghost in a garden is gonna work for him. Like in no way is that possible.
It seems like he's gaining too much confidence in himself.
He fools himself.
Because, and you know what, it's weird because throughout the movie you kind of don't want to give this guy credit because he's such an arrogant piece of shit about it. But I mean, when you think about it, he does a good job, because he starts off with nothing. And he has no problem taking this lowly job as a carny, and he works at it. And he is friendly to everyone, and he's not standoffish. He's not arrogant at the time. He kind of humbles himself so that people will teach him. And then he proves to be good at that too. Like he gives a great suggestion to Molly about her act and builds her this amazing looking set and stuff like that. And then even has the the ambition to learn this craft and take it further, because all these people, you know, they're good at what they do, but they're like, oh, they're like, we're just carny people, we're gonna stay at the carnival. But he's like, I can take the same act that you're happy to do in the backwoods of buttfuck nowhere and take it to its highest level. And he does, but he's not content in that. It's like he's so insecure with being nothing, with never really being good at anything, that once he is, he just takes it to unreasonable levels, if like just to prove it to himself almost.
Yeah, he reaches a point where we understand as the audience that he has no ceiling. There is no height that he's uninterested in reaching. Like he will put anything and everything on the line to prove to himself and to others that he is more powerful than they are.
Yeah.
And also like money motivates him.
That's the thing too, because it's both. And that the woman, she's like, oh, I lost so much respect for you because it's the money. And it's, he clings to the money because he comes from nothing. Whereas it's implied that, you know, she comes from wealth, so it's not as interesting to her. It's been her whole life. So he clings to it because he is from nothing. But it's still, I don't think his main motivation is money. It's the hubris. It's the arrogance. It's the it's the feeling of never have, like, he's never been anything and now he is. And he thinks it's all because of his doing. You know, I earned this. And he technically did. He learned it. He had the foresight to perfect it and take it to a higher level. So in that case, he's correct, but he has no chill about it.
Yeah, he's got no chill, but also like he didn't create it. He's only where he is because
that's true.
Pete and Xena had the foresight to create this whole concept, and were kind enough to teach it to him. And well, they taught some of it to him, and then he just, you know, stole Pete's book, and also like maybe murdered Pete. That's debatable.
Yeah.
So like he didn't completely earn this, but he did reach heights higher than Pete and Xena. But also like maybe they reached a certain level and were content, whereas obviously there is no pleasing Stanton. Like if he can go higher, he wants to go higher.
Yeah.
Like more.
And he'll never be happy with himself.
That's
true, why even
yeah.
when he's rolling in $10,000 a session, he's still pushing it. Even when I think he's scared, but he's still willing to risk his life, Molly's life, all of his money, purely to see if he can pull off the con. Purely to have this brief moment of, I got your ass. I did it. No one thought I could do it. Nobody else could do it, but I did it. The psychiatrist was scared of Grendel, blah, blah, blah. I hooked up with her. I came up with this plan. I tricked this guy that everybody else is scared of. Me. That's it. That's like the final point of it. And so for the ending where he is literally reduced to his lowest level of nothing, willingly walking into the trap, he knows it. He knows what it is. He knows it from every angle. And he still has to willingly walk into it. That's the weight too. We're talking about everything having weight. That is the weight too, because he would have been more than fine if it just wasn't for the just huge arrogance and hubris that he has. It's nuts.
It is. It's crazy. It's hard to watch, man. I think this movie definitely it plays with the theme of addiction as well. Like apparently his father was an alcoholic, and we do see in a flashback, he like tells his father he hates him and opens the window and lets him freeze to death, and then you know, murders him. And you know, for the first half of the movie, he never touches a drop. He says it several times, you know, he never drinks. And then there's this one very lingering scene where we see him take his first drink, and you just feel in that moment that like he just signed his, death warrant. Like that, it's all over from that point on. Cause like, I think he's blinded by his own arrogance, but also eventually is blinded by the alcohol. Like, he drinks a lot, primarily while he's with Cate Blanchett. So like whatever scam she's pulling, like he just can't see it. Like he's just too fucked up. And I think that plays a lot into his demise and ultimately gets him where he ends. Like he is willing to bite heads off of chickens for alcohol.
Well, and that's the brilliance of her character as well, because she completely sets that up.
She sees it.
Yeah, I'm completely like fascinated with this character. I love her office and how she has the microphone set up and how she keeps secrets on all these people. But then she takes some risk too. She takes some similar risk because she has to put some trust in Bradley Cooper. She's playing him the whole time. I have no doubt about that. She's playing him, but I think she really does fear the Grindel character. And
she might know what he does,
Yeah, she might, but she also has to trust that Bradley Cooper doesn't fuck it all up.
Yeah, that's true.
Like she doesn't know he's going to kill Grindel. She doesn't know all those aspects. And so if Bradley Cooper fucked it up and it comes back on her, that's like she's kind of playing with her life as well to kind of get one over it, because it's not about the money for her. She does get a shit ton of money, but ultimately she kind of comes up on top because Grindel is killed and his bodyguard is killed, so the threat is gone for her. She gets all the money and Bradley Cooper is reduced to nothing. So but then Bradley Cooper was like 2 seconds away from strangling her to death too. So she's just playing with her life as well.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely are told in the movie that they are the same, essentially. Like we don't really know much about Cate Blanchett's past, but like she opens up her blouse at one point and you see this like horrific scar all the way down her torso, and like she seems very damaged, like she's had a very tough life. And who knows how she got to where she is now, because she seems to be doing very well for herself, but like she very potentially could have come from nothing and like figured out how to swindle all these wealthy people in Chicago in a different way, and she got to where she is, but still always has to feel like she's on top and bettering herself, much the same way Bradley Cooper does.
So I had a little thought, there's really no way to know. But because of her position and her kind of arrogance in the same way, I thought that it's possible that had something to do with Grindel, because he's obviously going to, she says, there's a couple small lines where she says, I treated him briefly. I spoke with him briefly. She is scared of him. And I wonder if she was offering, because of her arrogance and how she is drawn in this kind of parallel to Bradley Cooper, if she at one point thought like, I can fix Grindel, or I can manipulate him, or kind of the same kind of way, like I can take care of this, and she couldn't, because obviously she's still not meeting with him. And he does that confession where he talks about, I've hurt women and things like that. And so I was like, oh, that could be where that fear comes from. That could be, the result of her arrogance and stuff like that. That's a brief thought I had.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like I said, there's really no way to prove that in the movie. Potentially in the book, there might be some evidence of that.
Might be in trivia. We'll find out later. I really don't know.
We might find out later.
I should have read it before.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's about time to wrap up the conversation. I know we could go on and on. If you have any other points, definitely throw them in at the end here. But out of 5, Juice, how do you feel about Nightmare Alley?
Talking about this movie, I love to watch it. And there wasn't, like I said, there wasn't a moment where I ever thought like that person didn't do a good job, even in this single scene or anything like that. And there wasn't a moment where I thought this like set didn't look good or that's not lit well. In a 2.5 hour movie, almost every scene is beautiful and crafted with precision and care. Every moment of dialogue is, and like performance delivery of that dialogue is spot on. It's a timepiece that looks amazing. It makes you feel like you are there. There were a couple moments where I was like, I can almost like smell this room, or just it had texture to it. Even when we were talking about him going through that devil, like the hand painted quality of everything, it felt like I could almost touch it. The texture and just, oh man, it's lit so beautiful, and the color and everything. I never got bored in this 2.5 hours, but when I was done, really the only thing was I was like, that's a bummer. And I don't know if I want to watch it again. I would certainly watch scenes from this. Which I would do that with like Inglourious Basterds. I would be like, I just have to listen to this dialogue. But like to watch the whole 2.5 hour movie again, I don't know. And it's hard because Del Toro, especially, was his last movie Shape of Water?
Yeah, it was.
He usually has this more fantastical feel to a lot of his movies,
fairy tale kind of vibe.
Yeah, and or even like the one with the robot, Pacific Rim, you know, or just straight fun. And he has dark movies too that don't end happily or don't, you know. But even in a movie like Pan's Labyrinth, which has a lot of heavy themes and things like that, it's still got this fantastical feel to it, to where it lightens it. This is so heavy. And so really the only question I have for myself is, could I get through that again? Because it takes you kind of through an emotional ringer. But that's not to knock the film. It was something I kind of personally was thinking of myself, like, I don't really know if I could watch that again. But this movie, it's fantastic. After talking about it too, and just really picking apart and getting into the very, very kind of finer details about it, I don't really think I can give it any less than a 5. It's just, it is pure craft. It is just, everything about the craft of this is like top level, top tier.
Yeah.
Just you couldn't really do it any better. I don't know how you could do it any better. So yeah, I guess I gotta give it a 5. It's quality, just quality filmmaking. Bob,
yeah,
out of 5, what are you gonna give Nightmare Alley?
I pretty much feel exactly the same way as you. The performances, the set design, the cinematography, the direction, it's all incredible. The score, we didn't even mention the score. It's beautiful. It is truly a work of art, and it is such a joy to experience this movie and just like let it wash over you and just live in these set pieces with these characters, as awful as they are. It's just like so pleasurable to do still. The only negatives would be like the overwhelming sadness that this movie has throughout it, and the length of that. It's a bit of an endurance test because of that. It's not, you throw this on, every other week because you like it. It's like you might watch this every other year, maybe. Like it's a tough watch, but everybody is truly bringing their A game. And it's difficult to think of a scene that I would shorten or cut. So, I mean, the runtime is what it is for good reason. I don't think Del Toro was just being, self-indulgent in any way by making this 2.5 hours. Other than like the reluctance I might have to rewatch this regularly, like I mean it's a 5. It's got to be a 5. I don't know how to really
I was
knock it.
thinking like even before coming to the cast, I was like, I might not give it a 5 because it was so sad. But talking about it, it's just
it's great.
Yeah, it is. It's great. Now it's hard too because you could then take every Del Toro film and you could rank this. So I would certainly want to watch A Shape of Water over this movie.
Rewatchability,
but I think I gave them both 5. So then it's like, okay, of the best, what are you gonna, and I don't know if I did. I should have gave Shape of Water 5 if I didn't, but I don't know. So yeah, it's film wise, when you're talking about like film, this is I don't know how you could make this film.
It's a master class. It is. It's great. Obviously our aggregate is a 5. Let's go ahead and jump into our Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the critics and users think about Nightmare Alley. All right, Randy usually runs this segment. Obviously, he's out tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and take the helm here.
Don't look it up yet, Bob.
I'm not.
Okay.
So, Juice, you and I both do not know what the Rotten Tomato score is. If you're a first-time listener, what we do in this segment, we take turns guessing first what the critics' rating is for this movie on Rotten Tomatoes, and then we do the same for the audience score. Juice, critics, what do you think it looks like on Rotten Tomatoes?
From the critics, it's got to be high. Del Toro is a man of the critics, I would assume. It's got to be high. There's always going to be some negative, so I can't go like perfect, but I'm going to try and go pretty high with it. I'm going to say 95.
95 from Juice. I'm going to go a little bit lower. I'm going to take a 90 on that.
90 even.
Users. I'll do the users first. I think it's going to be lower. As good as this movie is, I don't think it's super accessible. It's not a crowd pleaser, I don't think. I'm going to go... I'm going to go with a 70, I think.
Okay. I think it's going to be lower too, but I think the people watching this, got to be going to see a Del Toro film. So they got to be somewhat familiar. I think it's going to be higher than 70. So I'll go 78.
All right. 78 for Juice. Let's see what we got here on the Rotten Tomatoes. Oh, interesting. Okay. So it looks like the critics is I'm gonna take that. It's an 81%.
What? No. How many?
That's with 195 critic reviews.
That's so many. What?
Yeah, the critic consensus says while it may not hit quite as hard as the original, Guillermo del Toro's Nightmare Alley is a modern noir thriller with a pleasantly pulpy spin. I feel like this movie hits really hard.
I've never seen the original. Have you?
Yeah, it's solid. It's very good.
Yeah.
I think I would probably prefer to rewatch Del Toro's though.
Huh. Yeah, I guess I'm not familiar with the source material, so it's hard for me to say.
The audience score, I'm gonna take that too, man.
No, not a hell skeet sweep.
It's a hell skeet sweep. The audience is sitting at a 64%.
Boo.
That's way too low.
You brain dead fools.
They showed up for the fish dick and only got Bradley Cooper dick. So.
Yeah. Go watch your Spider-Mangs. No, I want to watch Spider-Man too. Damn, I knew the audience was gonna be lower. Oh man, that's so sad for the craft of film though. Like that's what I was kind of saying. It's like this is such a film's film. Like I don't know, craft wise, it's amazing in my eyes, but Oh, it's not
I gotta-
full of explosions and shit.
Let me read this one negative review. It's like shitting on the things that we praise, basically.
Oh, God, here we go.
So here's just a random negative critic review that's on Rotten Tomatoes here. It says,
From a critic?
It's from a critic. It says, it doesn't soft pedal its material so much as it suffocates it with the meticulousness of its choices, with every aspect of its squalor noticeably art directed. Like,
oh God.
yeah, it's meticulous. That's
oh my.
Does that make it bad? Like,
oh my, you damn fool. Who is that? Let's call him out by name.
So this is Allison Wilmore. She writes for New York Magazine and also for Vulture.
Oh God.
Man, that's interesting.
Nobody read Vulture magazine. Oh, I could not agree more. I thought every choice was amazing.
I mean, it's a tough watch for sure.
Yeah.
But not because
of
its meticulousness.
So this is, I don't
we're gonna get into it.
Not like fart sniffy or what, but okay, so I had this when I remember when I was in the university, I had this lit class where we were talking about, beauty, and there was some writer, I can't even remember who it was, who talked about how like somebody could find the beauty in anything, because technically the world we live in is like magnificent. So even if you were like staring at a pile of shit in the wilderness, it's like the amazing shit it took for that shit to get there could still blow somebody's mind. Like if you really stop to think, and like really in the grand scheme of things, it's amazing and beautiful, even though we're like, it's shit,
Yeah.
And so I get that, like, it's kind of the same, that pops into my head when thinking about this, where it's like, yes, it's a bummer, but this was crafted.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody made this a bummer. So like, yeah, you're looking at people living in squalor, but it's I don't know, it's all, yes, meticulously crafted to create a feeling that it evokes.
Yeah, it's extremely successful in the story it tells and the emotions it's trying to evoke.
Yeah,
he nails it on the head. And even though it might not be a very enjoyable emotion, it's intentional.
Yeah, it's kind of like what we talked about with Lynch, and that's like kind of why I had to respect like Eraserhead a lot, because of course the normal movies, what you can sell tickets to is even, okay, it's the holiday season. How many goddamn Hallmark, Bish leaves the city to go out into the, hometown to meet this guy. I mean, that's the feel good shit that, I don't knock anybody for binging because it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
But then to make a movie to encapsulate another emotion, hey, let's not be wowed or, let's not focus on the emotion of love in this film, or this emotion of adrenaline or excitement. What if this film was about dread, or about, sad shit,
greed, hubris, and manipulation?
It's like, we can only make movies about the best feeling emotions. It's like, oh God.
That's it.
Oh God.
Fuck you, Vulture.
Allison, you're wrong.
That's our Rotten Tomatoes segment. Let's go ahead and jump over into some trivia. Juice, got some trivia?
Oh yeah, dude. Let me open it up here.
That is your job.
Yeah. I do, Bob. I think some of these might be a game. Okay, so this is funny too, because I did read the beginning of this first piece of trivia. There's 11 pieces. We'll see how much is interesting. But at the beginning, you were talking about the cast and how stacked it was, and how Del Toro probably just asked you and you say yes. However, before Bradley Cooper got the role, there was someone else attached to this film. And he picked this to be in this, and he chose this over other kind of big projects. Other big name directors were doing other projects. They wanted him involved in it. He picked this. However, negotiations fell through due to not reaching a financial agreement. So he actually was locked in.
Wow.
Couldn't work out and he bailed, and Bradley Cooper replaced him. Who do you think has the cojones? Who's got enough pull to be a lead man in this film, to pick it, to work with Del Toro, and then ultimately turned it down because money wasn't enough?
I think I know this, so
Okay.
it's not much of a game.
Well,
But it's a game for our
hang
listeners.
on. Yeah, listeners,
Think about it.
Take a second.
Who do you
think?
think?
And we'll discuss. Bob, who is it?
I'm pretty sure it's Leonardo DiCaprio.
You are correct.
All right.
Which, damn, I wish DiCaprio and Del Toro would do a movie, which we were saying, like, I don't know, this would be better. And to be fair, Bradley Cooper did a fantastic job. So I don't even know, like, as much as I would love to see, you know, DiCaprio in a Del Toro film, I don't know if I'd necessarily change this one.
I don't think I'd want to change this.
Yeah.
One. Yeah.
I mean, so that'll tell you something. Ron Perlman has worked with Del Toro quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me how many times? What is this one was his blank collaboration with Del Toro, is what the trivia says.
That's a good question. Shit. Well, obviously he was in both the Hellboy movies and this one, so it's at least 3. I don't think he was in Mimic. He was in Kronos. That's 4. I don't think he was in Pan's Labyrinth. He was in Blade 2. That's 5. I don't think he was in Pacific Rim. I don't think he was in Devil's Backbone. I don't think he was in The Shape of Water. I'm gonna go with 5 here, I think.
So this is his 5th?
I think so.
You
yeah.
think 5? Oh, Bob, you missed a big one.
Oh shit!
I'm so surprised.
What I missed?
You even mentioned it. He was in Pacific Rim.
Oh, he was?
He had those crazy glasses. He was like the
he's
peddler.
one of the Russians? Oh no!
Yeah,
Oh shit!
come on, Bob.
I forgot about his fucking character. Yeah, it's like his character was named after it's like a dictator in a Chinese fast food.
Oh yeah.
joint or
Oh boy,
something.
yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. Actually, this is Ron Perlman's 7th collaboration with Del Toro. I forgot about this. This is intriguing. Pinocchio will be their 8th. So I guess Ron Perlman, I forgot, or I didn't quite know that Del Toro was on. I know that was one of the things that always pops around, like, oh, he's doing a Pinocchio. Pinocchio, I see, even as a kid, I wasn't big on Pinocchio. It's kind of scary, like with those donkeys and things. I just like, it wasn't really for me. Of course, with Del Toro, though, it's an actual fairy tale that he is doing. So
yeah.
Ooh, and it's dark. It's already, as a Disney film, it's dark.
I think, if memory serves, this is being made for Netflix.
Okay.
Which I hate. I don't want to watch a Del Toro movie at my house for the first time. I want to see it on the big screen.
Well, yeah, I get that.
That's kind of a bummer for me. I'll watch it happily, but
yeah.
still, like,
yeah.
I don't know.
I'm curious because I have such a distaste kind of for because it was so negative for me as a kid that I'm just always like, Pinocchio. But I'm conflicted because Del Toro's amazing and all of his stuff is kind of dark anyway. It's been a bummer. So, well, interesting. Oh, I closed this out. I shouldn't have closed it down. Let's see what else is on here. So yeah, this was his 7th, and the next one, Pinocchio, will be their 8th.
It's a lot.
That one's not interesting. Oh, there were 2 other actresses who were considered for the role of Molly. Neither one of them, in my opinion, well, she was so adorable in this movie. Like, she just, that actress, I can't remember her name. She did such a great job.
Rooney Mara.
I feel like she's been in another Del Toro film. She's got that Del Toro look, that kind of timeless look. Who do you think They do not fit the bill. This would be really hard. I will give you a hint though. We saw one of the ladies was the main lady on one of the posters we saw yesterday, which I mentioned by name at the movie theater.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we had a discussion about her name. Is Zendaya?
Ah, I forgot. I guess I talked about a lot of posters yesterday. No, not that one. I'll give you one more guess.
Oh, okay.
I mentioned it by name. I didn't mention her by name, but she's the leading lady in this movie.
Another poster.
Yeah.
Fuck. I don't remember we were talking about Ghostbusters. I don't even know who the fuck is in that. That would be like a leading lady. Bill Murray, obviously, is the answer. I don't know. I just don't know.
It was Lady Gaga and House of Gooch.
Oh, the House of the Gooch.
The House of Gooch. So Lady Gaga and Jennifer Lawrence were considered. No.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No.
I don't think so.
Maybe Lady Gaga could have nailed it. I don't know about Jay.
She was too sweet. Like Molly is super.
Molly's very sweet.
I don't think of Lady Gaga as super sweet.
I think of
she's
her
kind
as
of deviant. I think of her in
American Horror Story.
American Horror Story. Yeah, kind of tricky, a little devious, not sweet.
Dude, I think she's a bit of a chameleon. I think she could fall into whatever she needed to.
She did that other movie, which I actually never saw, with Bradley Cooper, where she's like a singer. So maybe, I don't know.
Oh yeah, that country dude. Yeah. That will wreck your fucking soul if you want to watch a sad movie.
I do not. That's why I've never watched it. And also Jennifer Lawrence, I see it's kind of like powerful now. I don't know. She plays a lot of kind of powerful roles.
Had you seen the Silver Linings Playbook?
I have not seen that either. I heard that's also very sad.
It's very sad.
And another Bradley Cooper movie.
Dude, goddamn, you're right. Fuck. That movie is less sad than the country music star one that I can't think of the fucking name of now, but it's pretty sad too. She's got like a lot of nuance in that movie there. She does a very good job.
That's a Christmas movie too, isn't it?
Is it? It might be.
I think it's like Sneaky Christmas.
Sneaky Christmas, yeah.
I think so. All right. There's some more, but it's not all super interesting. So let's move on.
Okay. Well, that means it's time for our Cooter of the Week. Juice, what is a cooter? Why do we hunt them?
Thanks for asking, Bob. Cooter is a character type and a straight, chillin' exclusive. Cooter must hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a cooter. We want the cooter with most points. The 5 points are manipulation, sexual deviance, smug arrogance, overall look and attire, and overall patheticness. I think we have a few candidates here, and we're going to have to do some analysis because I think that we've got some strong candidates across. I can think of at least 3 or 4 strong ones that are coming to mind that could kind of duke it out, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm of the same mind, dude.
Yeah.
This movie is littered with cooters. It's lousy with cooters.
Let me tell the ones that come to mind.
Okay.
And we'll pick one to do, an analysis of. So Willem Dafoe's character comes to mind.
Yeah.
The psychiatrist, Bradley Cooper's character, and Grindel or whatever. I always think of that. Whenever I say that, I think of the Harry Potter Dark Wizard or whatever.
Grindelwald.
Yeah, whatever. That's why I keep thinking. I'm like
Grindelwald.
Keep like throwing myself off. Also that and Griswold
family murder.
Yeah. So what do you think? Who do you want to dive into?
That's a solid lineup. I guess let's take Bradley Cooper to start.
So Bradley Cooper, smug arrogance. We talked about that was like his whole downfall. Yeah, is being arrogant. His off the scales. He literally loses everything because of his smug arrogance.
Even his dignity.
Well, yeah, everything. So he is arrogant, as we talked about. He thinks he can trick a billionaire or whatever into thinking a ghost has appeared in front. That's how like off the rails he gets. It's one thing to trick people to think like you read their minds because you've got this whole system together, but to think you can trick somebody who's amassed like huge wealth and is super careful and does all this thing that a ghost is in front of him is pretty damn arrogant.
Doesn't work out for him.
No, that's stupid.
He's very arrogant. I would also venture to say he's extremely pathetic, because by the end of the movie, when we see what he becomes, he strolls right into the role of the geek, happily saying he was born for it.
Well, not happily, but
well, not happily, but he strolls into it and knowingly says he was born for it.
Yeah, he does reach a pathetic level. And even too, we didn't really talk about this, when he's with the hobos in the hobo camp, and so one of them says like, all right, it's time to start paying your dues, more mooching. He gives away his father's watch, which was like a big, symbolic thing that he carried around for him as well. So yeah, I mean, he's lost everything. He gives away what little left he has, including his own freedom. He willingly walks into a terrible slavery.
Yeah,
like he knows that he's not getting out. Like he knows where that leads. So yeah, he loses literally everything.
Sexual deviancy, I don't think we could give that to him.
I would.
Okay.
Sexual because he cheats on Molly.
He does cheat on Molly, which is like more morally corrupt, but I don't know that it's devious, because it's...
Yeah, it is. To have an affair? To have a sexual affair?
I am not condoning this.
That's sexual
But he's
deviance.
just having sex with people.
Well, yeah, he's having sex with another woman when he's in a committed relationship with somebody.
I mean, when I think of sexual deviancy, I think of like sexual abuse.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Like, forced intercourse.
I mean, I think it's sexual deviance on Molly's part, because she doesn't know that he's sleeping around.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if we give it to him, it's weak. It's weak.
What? All right, at Bob.
I'm not condoning this. I feel like we've had this discussion on the show before.
I mean,
like, as long as it's consensual.
He is having consensual sex.
Yeah.
But what's not consensual is like having then sex with Molly, who she does not know that he's having an affair. And we see there's a specific thing that shows them in bed together, not having sex, but
okay. This is not a hill that I'm willing to die on. It's fine. He's gonna get the other points anyways. That's fine. Sexual deviance.
At Bob, everyone. At Bob. Yeah, sexual deviancy, manipulation. Yes.
Through the fucking roof. That's his whole character.
That is his job.
Yeah, this is what he does.
Yeah, he takes it too far, because even with the other people who taught him this, they had some respect for people, because they were saying like, don't lie to them and tell them that their dead kid is going to come hang out with them. And we see an example of where they had to do that with somebody to kind of protect their show, and then later told them the truth and gave them like some free swag to send them off on. Still fucked up, but still a code. He does not abide by that code, and it gets people killed.
Yeah.
So manipulation for sure. And then the last one, looking to tire.
I think he's looking pretty snazzy.
Yeah, for the most part. Now, I mean, he does end up now at the end. He does end up in the hobo gear, and the guy specifically says it smells like you pissed your pants. But I guess that would be more in the pathetic category, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, he's looking pretty good for a hobo.
Is he? I don't think so. Yeah, there's never any time, even when he's like putting on a show, he could take it over, but he buys a sweet little scarf that's got the eye on it to cover his eyes up. I think he's looking pretty swanky.
Looking pretty good for the most part.
All right, so Bradley Cooper, he doesn't have all 5 points, missed him on looking attire, but he's a cougar for sure.
Yeah.
You want to hit anybody else? Is there anybody you feel like more strongly. I was like, maybe the psychiatrist.
Yeah, we could talk about Lilith here. I think she's probably the only one that might be able to best Bradley Cooper.
Manipulation, yes.
Yeah, she manipulates everybody,
yeah,
just the same as Bradley Cooper does.
Now, see, I would argue that she would have less on the sexual deviant score because she's not cheating, as far as I know, on anybody. So she's just having sex with somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's worse. I mean, it is definitely worse for Bradley Cooper because he is married.
So I don't think she hits that. She does have the smug arrogance.
Yeah, through the fucking roof, smug arrogance.
She's pathetic in her own kind of way, but not the level of hobo status that what's his name gets to, because he willingly walks into slavery.
It's pathetic that she has to be the best.
It is, yeah. And even that moment of where she just like has to know how she got bested. Yeah. Like that's her main motive. It's kind of pathetic to just put people's lives in danger just to get your jollies out.
Yeah. Just to get off.
Yeah. Want to get off with me, don't you? Gotta have a Sunny reference every episode.
Everyone.
We cannot not have a Sunny reference. We're gonna have another one later because of what I've been watching, but yeah, I guess she just doesn't. She might be a cooter. She looks swanky.
Yeah, her attire is solid.
Yeah, so yeah, she might be a cooter, but she doesn't beat Bradley Cooper out. I don't know if anybody's gonna beat him.
I don't think so. I don't think so either, man.
Maybe Willem Dafoe. No, he's got no kind of sexual deviancy as far as I know.
Or attire or patheticness that we can tell.
That's true. Honestly. Yeah, that's true.
Manipulating for sure. I mean, so the Grindel, real quick, he was the only other one we talked about. Like,
there's sexual deviance there.
Sexual deviance there for sure. Definitely arrogant as fuck.
Yeah, arrogant. Manipulation.
I feel like
through fear, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like he was manipulating his lover and probably all the other women that he was hurting or potentially murdering.
And just like everyone through, like I said, fear and like intimidation and I don't know. Yeah, I think he's got manipulation, sexual deviance, smug arrogance. He's got the big three.
Yeah. Patheticness and attire. Attire's fine. He's looking good.
Attire's fine. Does he have a moment? I almost wanted to mention the moment where he shows remorse, but remorse is not pathetic.
No, it's not. I would say it might be pathetic that he is swindled and like buys into this bullshit.
I guess it could. Yeah. If you're like so rich and powerful and willing to like threaten people's lives to get whatever you want, but you believe that somebody's gonna make a ghost.
Yeah.
Like,
it's kind of pathetic.
I mean, not to knock anybody's beliefs or anything, because I'm pretty not to say that there's not ghosts or anything, but I don't know, that seems kind of it seems pathetic in how desperate he is to rid himself of his own guilt. So it's not necessarily like pathetic in its just general idea. It's like he's so eaten up by his own guilt and wants to kind of get the forgiveness that will go to extremes to even believe that this swindler is going to make a ghost. So I think that is the patheticness.
I still feel like it's got to go to Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, I think he takes it. And I think he's meant to. I mean, I like that we follow this character and he's not always terrible, but we get to see his rise and fall, It's interesting.
Yeah, Grindel's close, but I think it's going to Stanton Carlisle for Nightmare Alley. We got him. We got the Coot of the week.
Lock him up.
Let's go ahead and talk about what we've been watching this week. Juice, what you been watching?
I've been watching quite a bit. Lots of holiday special stuff still. We got a week before Christmas and I'll watch some more this week. One thing I watched it yesterday. I was talking about a little bit about this. Batman Returns. Tim Burton, second Batman film. Man, it's been a while since I watched it. And what I mean, I like sat down to watch it. And it is a Christmas film. And that's one thing that I love about it because it's so dark. It's such a particular style and it's Christmas. Tim Burton, man, I got to give him props for, I was realizing how much he affected Batman going forward because that animated series, which was so baller in the 90s, would not have existed without these films. The style, I think this might be his most stylized film. I mean, everything in it has such a particular style. The city of Gotham, Batman, Catwoman, fucking the Penguin and shit. Dude, Danny DeVito as the Penguin is disgusting. His little like onesie suit thing that he strolls around in
it's all stained.
He's supposed to be 33 years old in this because it shows as he's born and then goes and lives in the sewer. And then it's like 33 years later. And I was like, Jesus Christ, his fucking onesie thing. Dude, penguins with rockets, this whole circus gang that has this devil in it that breathes fire and this pale porcelain woman that's got this crazy dog and like gypsy man with a monkey, fucking clowns doing backflips and shit, Christopher Walken and his crazy shit, Michelle Pfeiffer with her crazy cowboy stuff. Here's the thing about it though, watching this film, to me, this latest watch, it almost is the kind of movie where all the ingredients are distinct and delicious on their own, like eye candy, like that's so unique, that's so distinct. But as a film, when you bake it all together, it was a bit of a hodgepodge. It was a little bit too much for me. I was like, it was still fun, but I was like, this movie is too much style. Everything is too distinct. Like the clowns against the Christmas backdrop with a penguin man and then penguins with rockets on their back. And Michelle Pfeiffer takes the whole cat thing like to a literal level where she's licking herself. I was like, this might be too much. I think it is. I think it's too much, but I have to respect so much. I mean, even those baller ass Batman games are so influenced by that, Batman animated series, but that literally wouldn't exist without these Burton films. And so I can see where like so much great Batman media came from these movies, but watching it again, it was cool because it's a different kind of Christmas movie. And I like that. But those flavors are strong and potent and they don't necessarily work together all the time.
Sounds like a delicious gumbo to me.
Ooh, it's fucking wild. It's like gumbo with like literal fucking gum in it. That's what it's like. With gumbo made with fucking sausage and gumballs. Shit's wild. But still a lot of fun and mad respect to it. It just, this time I was a little overwhelmed by those flavors. Some more traditional holiday stuff. I've been watching some Simpsons Christmas episodes, which they have separated out on Disney Plus. I watched Christmas Chronicles for the first time, which is a Netflix original. I will say though, fucking Netflix has been taking a dive. We might be watching the decline of Netflix because ever since getting back from Korea, I was saying before, Korea has Netflix. I think they just finally got Disney Plus, but coming back to the States and there being like 10 prominent, streaming services, Netflix has gotten picked apart and their like Christmas selection is almost not, most of the stuff I've been watching has been for Christmas, Disney Plus or HBO Max. And I think we might be witnessing the decline of Netflix.
I don't watch Netflix hardly at all, really. Like I usually go to Shudder or HBO or Hulu before I go to Netflix.
My big ones, even before Christmas, was HBO with their like new movies coming out, and Disney Plus because they got all the MCU stuff and like all the classics and stuff like that, and a little bit of Shudder. Yeah, I don't even watch Shudder that much, but yeah, Netflix. I think we're seeing it go down. But I did watch Christmas Chronicles, which is Jeff Bridges. Wait, is that right? Oh shit. No,
I've never seen it, but it's
a Netflix original Christmas movie. It came out in 2018, and it's no Klaus. I will say fucking Klaus, that I mentioned last time, banger of a Christmas movie. But who is this? It's one of their originals.
Yeah, it's got what's his face?
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell.
That's not Jeff Bridges. Kurt Russell.
Some other bearded motherfucker.
Yeah, Kurt Russell is Santa Claus, and it was pretty good. I watched that for the first time. I watched that. I talked earlier this year. I really got into a Netflix show about the glass blowers. It's kind of like a competition reality show where they make glass. They have a holiday special, which is very much in the vein of kind of like the Great Bake Off Christmas special, where they brought in like 5 people from previous episodes and had like a short little season. It was all Christmas theme. And it's like Get Blown. I always call it Get Blown, but that's not what it's called. It's something like that though.
Blow Me, I think.
Dude, it's like, it sounds similar to Get Blown, and then they got their glory holes that they do. So it's just like way too like
hot blowing.
Yeah. I cannot remember. I always want to say Get Blown. I watched that. It was fun. It was like cool Christmas stuff. I really like it because there's no real drama. It's just people making cool shit. So I like that. I watched that. I watched a couple different iterations of A Christmas Carol, which is one of my favorite just kind of Christmas pastimes, because I love the idea of the Christmas ghost stories. And I think it would be really cool to make a modern Christmas Carol with more of a horror bent.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of different iterations of it. I watched Mickey's Christmas Carol, which is very short, like only 28 minutes. And it kind of reminds me of like a Simpsons special where they tell this kind of in-depth story, like super quick, but they hit all the major beats of it.
Yeah.
It was actually, I think, my first iteration as a kid of like kind of where I knew A Christmas Carol from. And then I watched the Muppet ones as well, which I like that one a lot too, because it's just a lot of fun. But I would like a darker adult.
Scrooged is the one that I go to.
Yeah.
And that's also a movie that I always half considered, like, I don't know, maybe we could talk about it on the show. It's a comedy, but it's like really fucking horrific at the same time. I mean, it's got ghosts and like death in it, and it's got a really like sour tone overall, even though it is essentially a comedy with Bill Murray.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's dark as fuck, man. It really is.
I just like that story. I used to read it like every other Christmas. I haven't read it in several years now. Charles Dickens. It's just the ghost story, the premise. I mean, visited by 3 ghosts. I think it's right for a horror kind of take. I would like to see that. I wish somebody would try to Del Toro get on that. So I watched those iterations of A Christmas Carol. What other it's mainly been like all Christmas stuff. Before we wrap up the season, Get Blown.
The Christmas
Batman Returns, Christmas Chronicles. I guess that's it. It has been a bit of a pain in the ass, like bouncing between all these things to like find out what's on what, and then they're still not, like, I was having trouble finding something else. I was like, God damn it. Oh, I watched Home Alone with the fam. Had to knock that one out as well. Home Alone. I guess that's it. All Christmas specials pretty much. Oh, Hawkeye, new episode of Hawkeye, which is Christmas themed. Haven't seen SpiderMan yet. Have not seen it. Ugh, no spoilers, Bishop.
I'm gonna spoil it right now.
Bob, let's now analyze SpiderMan, even though I haven't seen it. All right, Bob.
Yeah.
What you been watching this week?
I watched the Krampus 4K director's cut I can't remember if I talked about that.
You did, because you were saying there's like 4 extra minutes.
Okay, I did. Okay.
Land. Yeah.
Well, anyway, it's worth watching. I recommend checking it out. I also watched 13 Slays Till Christmas, which is an indie horror movie put out by Scream Team Releasing, and I could not finish it. It's really pretty unwatchable.
Okay.
So I turned that off. Maybe it gets better. I might never know. I did watch SpiderMan No Way Home. It's good. It's a Marvel movie. It kind of washes over you, kind of the same way most other Marvel movies do. I think it's my favorite of the like more recent Spider-Man trilogy, though.
Okay.
So if you enjoyed the ones that came before it, I feel like this is a little bit of a step up. Obviously, if you've even seen the poster, you know they reintroduce characters that may or may not have been in other Spider-Man movies. Yeah, I know, and that's cool to see. I think they managed that idea very well.
I can't believe they put Franco back in there. That's crazy.
Oh, it's just Franco all over the screen.
And what's that dude from that 70s show? Topher Grace.
Old Topher. He's all up
in
this movie. It stars Topher Grace. I want you to know that we're serious right now. Yeah, it's worth seeing. You're gonna see it anyways. Everybody's seen it.
You're gonna see
no matter what I say. I would not dissuade a single person, even if I was like, fuck this movie, I hate it. Wouldn't change anybody's mind. Also, Joe Bob Briggs, like I said, he showed Ice Cream Man the other night, and that movie's big, dumb fun. I always get a kick out of watching Clint Howard murder children. We also put on the Santa Claus with Tim Allen today, and like I hadn't seen that movie in years, man. It's like I still remember almost every single line from it, though, even though I haven't seen it since I was a kid.
Okay, let's talk about that a little bit, because that was one that I missed. I also watched Santa Claus this year too, and I watched it a couple years ago and found it problematic, or found it not as quaint and as enjoyable as I did, obviously, as a kid.
It's not quaint. Yeah.
It's fucking Tim Allen. And okay, I have this theory about, I was going back, and especially Tim Allen movies, but movies from the 90s, like Liar Liar and stuff like that. I feel like a lot of them were made to make shitty ass dads kind of feel better about themselves. Like, yeah, you can be a completely absentee, shitty father who puts everything above their kid, but in the end, it's all going to be okay and they'll love you.
Yeah, I completely understand that.
It's like, wait a second.
Like Tim Allen in this movie, like he loves his kid, but also like he talks shit about the kid's mom, and he talks mad shit about
her boyfriend.
Her boyfriend, and like he
demeans them.
He hangs out with his kid, but like he's not really putting in the effort. Like he lies. He definitely puts himself before his kid ultimately, but at the end of the day, he's forced into being Santa Claus, and what kid doesn't love Santa Claus? Yeah. So he loves his dad.
So and like, he loves, he didn't even like finish reading the kid like the book or anything, or he's just such a shitty father.
He's like,
but it's okay.
But it's all fine because he's Santa Claus.
Yeah. But thinking back, I mean, a lot of Jim Carrey and Tim Allen movies from the 90s, Jungle to Jungle, Liar Liar, just I feel like so many were about these kids. I feel like they were kind of advertised to, the divorce rate was huge up in the 80s, to these dads so they could take their kids that would pretty much excuse away their terrible parenting. Yeah. What the fuck?
One thing I do think is kind of hilarious about this movie, because it is a Disney movie, is that like being Santa Claus is a fucking curse that is put upon you when the current Santa Claus dies.
That
like,
you get tricked into.
You don't have a fucking choice. You are Santa, bitch. Like
that dude's so salty about it too. That elf or whatever, Bernard. He's like, why don't you understand? It's like, bitch, then I'm Santa Claus. What do you think I don't understand? It's written on this card in tiny.
Bernard?
Fucking Bernard. Jesus Christ.
I kind of like that aspect of it. Like, sorry about your luck. You're fucking Santa Claus forever now.
Forget your life. But also, you get to live in luxury for free in the North Pole. So I guess
I
that's
mean,
something, I guess.
I guess. That sounds shitty to me. Fuck that. You get to live in a nice place in the middle of nowhere with a bunch of like elves that you don't know, and it's weird.
It's weird.
Have some cocoa. That's really all I've been watching this week. We got one more segment to get into, and that is, of course, our hotline screens. If you are listening and would like to call in and leave us a voicemail to be featured on our next show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. We got one voicemail this week, and we're going to hear from our long lost buddy 2 p.m. Todd. Let's hear what he has to say. Housekeeping. Rent a place called The Lodge.
Bob also, he created a little list of straight chilling episodes that were kind of Christmas themed, or like the movies themselves were based in Christmas, and completely left The Lodge off of that list.
I forgot that had anything to do with Christmas, honestly. Like, I mean, it's a sneaky Christmas movie at best. I don't think it really it has to do anything. It doesn't engage with the holiday.
Not particularly, but Calvert was on there, and Inside was on there and stuff like that. I recently went back and I was listening to Rare Exports today when I was driving to your house. And that was a lot of fun to revisit some Christmas episodes. But I was looking, and we didn't do one in 2019, which I thought we had one every year. But I think it's because we did a top 10 of the decade instead, and a top 10 of the year. So I think that's why we missed that one. But it's fun to visit old straight chilling episodes on Christmas in the Christmas season.
Yeah, we got a good like dozen or so episodes in our back catalog that are Christmas related movies.
Yeah.
I posted across all of our social media outlets. If you want that list, hit me up. I'll be happy to send it to you. There's a lot of
the Lodge on there, Bob.
I guess the Lodge is one too. If you want to hear me fucking rant and rave on your Christmas, listen to the Lodge episode.
Sneaky Christmas, P. Deuce, Rare Exports, Christmas Evil, Krampus, Silent Night, Deadly Night, Silent Night, Deadly Night, Deuce, Gremlins.
Black
Christmas. We need to revisit some of those.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling, Todd. Let's go ahead and have that straight chilling meetup at the Lodge with good Sir Rob Zombie and make some memories.
You know what? Todd's talking about meeting up. I met one of our Slack members and supporters of the cast. Oh,
You did?
Nate yesterday.
Oh,
You didn't
nasty
even-
Nate.
He didn't even ask for a selfie or anything. Damn, Nate.
Or
Get
an autograph.
one
Wow.
shot to hang out with Soju. You don't even get.
He showed such restraint. It's incredible.
He actually went to the
Wow.
movie with us yesterday. Yeah. So shouts outs to Nate for hanging out.
Shouts outs. People listen to us and they're real. They're not just bots.
Yeah.
Check it out.
He got that $100 Patreon spot for a hangout with his
Okay.
group. Just fucking-
Pay for the honor. Wow.
that $500 Patreon spot. I mean, no, yeah, it's nice to meet you, Nate. It would be cool to hang out with old 2 p.m. Todd one day.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Swing up this way, 2 p.m. Todd in Saxonville, and
We'll
see
hit
what
up
we can get going on.
hit up fucking Red Robin or something and hear him rant and rave about that. You know?
We got we were talking yesterday after Nate was there. I was like, oh, we got a solid little local squad that I probably need to see a couple more people.
You owe it to them.
I owe it, especially for $500
Yeah.
on that tier, you know.
Thanks for calling 2 p.m. Todd. Happy holidays, man. It's good to hear from you. Again, if you guys are listening and want to call in and leave a voicemail for next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. Man, that's our last regular show of the year.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And this is 350.
350.
We are halfway to 400.
Well, we're more than halfway to 400.
Well, I mean, like in
This
in-
most recent
in
100
100
episodes.
increments. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are now, it will be, so in 2022, we will hit 400. It seems like we just went to hell
Yeah.
and got that.
I mean, that's how we started this year was
It
with
was.
episode 300.
And before the end of 2022, we're doing it again.
We're doing it again.
What do we got up our sleeve this time?
I
We
mean,
have it all planned out
we've
already.
had it
Don't
planned
you
all
worry.
along.
It'll be
We know exactly what-
amazing.
You'll love
It'll
it.
be the most amazing thing you've ever heard. Get ready. You got 50 weeks to prepare yourself.
You're gonna be so
and
fucking
so do
entertained.
we. It's gonna take 50 weeks to get it all ready.
That's how involved it is. Your
Yeah.
dicks are gonna be blown off.
And it's totally planned out
You'll love
already.
it. You'll love it. Yeah, next week we're gonna be back as always with a brand new show. We're gonna be talking about our top 10 of 2021. We're going to run down our list of favorite movies of the year. We'll, like we usually do, we'll probably talk about some stinkers and some honorable recs, some recommendations for you.
Yeah. And we should hopefully all be together again, which
In
is
person,
the second
yeah.
time this year we've cast it all together.
Yeah.
Wow. Or second? Have we done?
I think it might
second, yeah.
be the
Third?
third.
It might
maybe.
be.
I think it might be the
Damn.
third. Yeah.
How lucky did we
That's
get this
badass.
year? Never
Yeah.
gonna happen again.
Fucking A.
I mean, though, really, Bob, I mean, it's been twice now recently. Do we even really need Randy? I mean,
I think we've proven that we don't.
do you
need
enjoy the cast better when it's just me and Mom?
Shit.
Call us in next week when Randy's here to let us know.
Wow, I noticed the quality of the podcast really jumped several notches without Randy.
A lot less dick jokes. A lot less incel talk, I see.
My name is 2 p.m. Todd.
Hello, this is Blob. I like it better
Blah.
when Randy's not on.
69 dudes. Tune in next week. Check out what we thought was dope in 2021 as we run down our top 10 lists. Let us know what you guys liked this year. Call in. What was your favorite movie of the year? Run down your own personal top 10s if you want. And drop those in a voicemail. We'll play them next week's show. Let us know what movies fucking blew. We want to hear from you. Hear your thoughts. Hit us up. But until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.